The Bahamas hoping to access necessary funding to ensure the aviation sector remains internationally compliant. Good evening, everyone. I'm Keishla Adderley.
And I'm Charisma Robinson. The Bahamas needs about $150 million to improve airports nationwide. It's an expensive undertaking, but one that is critical, especially in meeting the international standards set out by the International Civil Aviation Organization for those ports of entry.
Now, Clint Watson tells us tonight that the government is hoping to petition for its cause as it hosts a 3-day aviation conference at the Melia Resort.
Since 9/11, aviation has changed drastically, with just about all areas of the sector being impacted and restrictive, in many cases removing the pleasure and making it a hassle. The International Civil Aviation Organization, through its regional directors meeting, is hoping to address the major issues countries face. Acting Director of Civil Aviation Keith Major outlined that the Bahamas is challenged when it comes to aviation.
The cost to my country is sizable and maybe a bit more than most island nations in the region, as there are 28 government-owned airports within the Bahamas, of which 16 are ports of entry. Therefore, the needs and the costs must be multiplied and measures duplicated in order to be compliant with ICAO requirements. This is proving to be a challenge to our country. However, it is a necessary burden we must bear, and we must endeavor to find creative ways of funding the various projects while being as frugal as possible.
Regional Director of ICAO Melvin Citron says the organization recognizes that it must change to become more relevant to member states.
Where open and frank dialogue will lead to an active exchange of ideas, creating collective solutions. Aviation is not built on the backs of countries. Aviation is built on the shoulders of leaders, and leadership require to bring aviation to the point that it can serve its citizens the best possible way, providing the socioeconomic benefits that we know can be done.
Transport and Aviation Minister, the Honorable Gladys Hannah Martin, says the campaign, No Country Left Behind, is important to the Bahamas as archipelago of islands. She notes that the countries often face immense challenges meeting ICAO standards.
The island community. And here we are again, very soon to enter yet another hurricane season. And we are prayerful that our country will be spared. Air transport is therefore critical to our connectivity as an archipelagic people, but also critical to the growth and development of local economies and the national economy, supporting and facilitating in particular the tourism industry, which is foundational to our economy. Supporting and sustaining this critical network requires significant capital outlay. The necessity of ensuring safe and secure air transport and in implementing all that is mandated to achieve that in accordance with ICAO standards, therefore, creates tremendous economic pressures on countries such as ours.
Minister Hannah Martin says the Bahamas is among the countries with the most airports in the world, but at the same time, we are a small island developing state susceptible to natural disasters like hurricanes. With that in mind, Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie in his keynote address called for greater assistance as the main challenge is funding a sector requiring so much. Referring to natural disasters, in particular the devastation left from last year's Hurricane Joaquin, he noted that these events can leave residents and visitors stranded if airports are flooded or severely impacted.
We don't need to have another warning about what our obligations are. What we need to do is find the resources to be able to create a facility where helicopters can be refueled on whatever high ground that exists, because there obviously will be future needs for evacuation by helicopters. Secondly, that we have to build airports that are, as much as possible, hurricane-proof.
And with aviation a critical link to the economy of the Bahamas and the archipelago of islands, the government is hoping that whatever assistance it can get from international partners to modernize and revitalize the industry, it can realize those possibilities. Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.